Hi, it's Jerry the King Lawler, and you're tuned in to the Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show. I don't know why you are, but you are.
Amazing, says some guy. These men have changed broadcasting forever. The Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show.
Did you hear Roman Reigns? Yaki-da, huh? You get it, Kev?
Oh, yeah, I can't afford Skype. The baseball analogy.
Yeah, Kev, I just think with Yaki-da, I don't speak Japan, and you f***ing people.
Oh, yeah, f*** you, DT.
What do you think about that, Kev?
Oh, well, Batista's pretty f***ing sexy, and did I mention Roman Reigns gives me a boner? And, 1980s baseball and wrestling was better than anything else.
DonTony.com.
What's up, everybody? It is Monday night, July 6th, 2020. Once again, we are back. This is the Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show. I am Don Tony, and joining along with me, as always, is
Kev Castle. What's up, TT?
Not bad, not bad. We just had Raw is Sasha and Bayley. I know there was a lot more that went down on Raw, and we will talk about it in a moment. Actually, I think three moments tonight that really caught my eye. But, before we get into anything, I was paying attention to this main event tonight. And I really started thinking long and hard about this. And I don't want any Bayley or Sasha Banks fans to get upset of what I'm about to say or misconstrue it. I'm not in any way trying to disrespect either woman. But I don't know if you feel this way, Kev, but it feels like WWE, ever since Charlotte's injury, has decided to make WWE programming all about Sasha Banks and Bayley. You turn on Raw, and they are featured all over the programming, main event. You have Smackdown all over the programming, main event. You have NXT now all over the programming, main event. And I know what some people are going to say right away. Well, Sasha Banks drew 900,000 viewers on NXT. And yeah, I gave it a lot of praise Friday night. But I'll tell you this much. After 2-3 weeks of every fucking program filled with Sasha and Bayley, you think that 900,000 number is so much to brag about Wednesday? What happens when you get that 900,000 number on Monday or Friday? It's a good number for Wednesday because Wednesday Night Wrestling combined is a decent number. But I'll be honest with you, I'm getting sick and tired of give me one WWE show outside of main event and backstage that doesn't have Bayley and Sasha Banks on it. Do you feel the same way, or is it not getting to you yet? Because it sure is getting to me.
Well, here's the whole thing. The whole narrative going back years ago, too much Roman Reigns, then too much Seth Rollins, too much Charlotte Flair.
But they weren't on all the shows.
I got that. But I'm just, the point being is when someone monopolizes a lot of TV time, it's for a reason, isn't it? It's for either a big push or there's results. There's end results that are winning, that are positive. Is that really true, DT? You think, are they crediting Sasha Banks for that big, and I'm doing finger quotes, rating on NXT?
And she deserves all the props for a great rating on NXT. But, I don't think they learned from what they did a year and a half ago, pushing Becky, Ronda, Charlotte for so long because they wanted all that hype for the WrestleMania main event, and I supported it. I was one of the only few that thought Charlotte had to be in that mix. But the problem is they did that at the expense of the entire women's division, and they did that with the expense of a lot of men in their division, because I brought this up many times in the past. You had male wrestlers that would come out, and before they would tell their opponent that they want to strangle them, they had to praise Becky, Ronda, Charlotte, history, main event. I mean, if I want to kill someone in storyline, I'm not going to stop and say, before I threaten to kill this person, let me just point out that we're making history at WrestleMania. It's just, it feels too forced. And, you look at Naomi, you look at, unless they all have COVID right now or they're afraid to perform, it just feels that WWE is showing no confidence in a lot of other talents, that they are forcing Bayley and Sasha, just oversaturating, I think would be the right way to go. I have said many times that they are uber talented. I like Bayley. I have no issues with her character at all right now. She does her job well. But watching it tonight, it really started to hit me like, can I get one show during a week that does not feature the two? One? Is that too much to ask?
Unless there's an agenda, again, are they making up for lack of other girls who can't cut it, who don't pull in the numbers, or they don't have faith in? I mean, again, what's the narrative here? Is it that are they pushing them as an office move, or is it a strategic move because they do draw eyeballs? So I guess, we'd have to really know what the facts are. But it is true. It's weird that they're, becoming this team that just invades every show and they're involved in everything. A lot of TV time for these two, where a year ago at this time, everyone's like, why are they not getting any TV time? Where's Sasha Banks? Bayley's so underutilized as champion. And now, be careful what you wish for. This is what everybody's getting now.
Wasn't Sasha on the rug a year ago?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A little more than a year ago. She was on the rug a little more than a year ago. On the rug, not on the rag. Again, be careful what you wish for. Everybody wants their favorite push. Sasha's got a good fan base. So does Bayley. So now all four horsewomen have gotten their dream push. This as a duo, these two, Charlotte and Becky individually. So now all four girls from that crew have all become spotlighted girls, getting the push that everybody always thought they should get. And it's Sasha and Bayley's turn. But if it's generating eyeballs and keeping the numbers up a little bit, even though, DT, it's nothing to brag about these numbers. These numbers are pretty dismal. But
last week's Raw, third lowest in the history of Raw. Last week's Smackdown, I think the lowest rating since they've gone to Fox, 1.7 million. And people are like, well, it was July 3rd. Well, what does that mean? We're in the middle of fucking COVID. Where do you think people were going? You can't go to a restaurant. Where do you think everybody was going July 4th? The day before July 4th. What does that mean? If you actually take a step back and think about it, what does that mean?
It's a way to blame shift. It's a blame shift. So this way, again, as people who are super protective of the people they like and the wrestlers they like, they don't want them to get the blame. So they'll just concoct something that makes sense to them. And it could have some bearing of fact. But again, it's been down. It doesn't really matter who headlines this. Then, the big show, that's why the ratings are so bad. I don't know if it's all Big Show's fault or people see it and turn it off. I don't know. I just don't know. But right now, Bayley and Sasha are the it girls, along with Asuka, of course. And it was nice to see Kairi Sane tonight. So.
Yeah. Anna the Gay Banana, my political advisor, feels Bayley is cringe. I wouldn't call it cringe. I actually like the character. And I think some people, really, take your fandomhood, take a step back for a minute. And this goes out to One Fall Podcast and others out there. I did not once, during what I said, I did not criticize Bayley. In fact, I praised her, and I said that I have no problem with the character right now. I enjoy it. I did not criticize Sasha Banks whatsoever just now. I didn't criticize their matches, their in-ring ability. I've been saying for the last couple of years that it's the full horsewoman and everybody else. Nothing that I said was against them or their ability. It's just that WWE, in my opinion, is oversaturating their current product. Every show is focused around them. And when you get too much of something too quickly, you usually get sick of it. I mean, it happens across the board. You know, and I just feel it's really revealing a lot about WWE right now and their trust in other stars. What happened to Vince in the conference call? Oh, we're building stars. We're building stars. You know, it just feels like it's too much. It's too much. I want to enjoy Bayley and Sasha continue the progression of their feud, and, you know, they'll ultimately go against each other. But this is just oversaturation, in my opinion. I'm not criticizing their work. Their work is fine. And I was very happy to see Kairi Sane back tonight. She will be there next week as well. The big question is, how much longer does she remain in WWE?
What was her contract is coming up? Is that what it is?
Well, yeah. And, you know, there's talk that she may retire after a year. I don't buy nothing with retirement. And as each day goes by, the more and more I'm convinced Undertaker is having another match. They're hyping up this retirement so much. So when he comes out of retirement, it feels like extra, like special, like extra, or better yet, WWE will do the mind games that they've done in the past. They know Undertaker's going to have another match. So they'll convince us that he's not. So when we all, like Sting, when he posted that little teaser on his Twitter, when the fans keep saying, one more match, one more match, one more match, and then Undertaker has that one more match, the fans feel like, oh, Undertaker came out of retirement just for us. We were loud. WWE listened for a change. I think that's all manufactured. I think all this hype is to cover up the fact that the current WWE product, with the exception of NXT, is very lackluster. COVID and no COVID, they have enough talent on that roster that is showing up on TV that you can't blame COVID for horrible storylines, for horrible, you know, just the way the product is. You know, I don't know. But by the way, Cress, no, I didn't gain any weight. Actually, the problem is that the shirt I'm wearing today is one size too small. And depending on how it's cut, makes me look like I got tits, you know, and I'm not showing you my tits right now. But, and shout out to Jay Shady. You know, Anthony the Virgin. You don't think like that's something I haven't seen when I was in school? Anthony the Virgin. Anthony the Virgin. You know what I used to get at school, and I've told a lot of people before, when I was a kid, Adidas were a big deal. Run DMC used to rap about it. And people in my school used to say Adidas. You know what it used to stand for? When people wanted to be nice, it would stand for All Day I Dream About Sex.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, but in the case of see, I thought it was a joke and I laughed it off back then. You do it now, it's considered bullying, but they would say Adidas would stand for Anthony de Blasio is dumb and stupid.
They really said that?
Yeah, I swear to God. What you think I would sit here and like figure out like, oh, how could I think of what Puma
I would hope not.
Yeah,
no.
They would say Adidas stood for Anthony de Blasio is dumb and stupid.
That's terrible. How old were you?
It was grammar school, it was junior high.
That's
84, 85, 86. I didn't care. You know, it was what it was. I mean, you know, they would throw pencils at the teacher, and teacher would turn around, who did it? And I swear on my mother, I'll never do another show again if I'm lying. I got to actually close my Pellegrino water so it doesn't spill. They would actually go on the desk. And the funny thing is, on my personal Facebook page, I got a lot of friends from grammar school. If I ask them, they will say it. They would actually do this. De Blasio did it. De Blasio did it. De Blasio did it. The whole entire classroom. Me, even though I didn't do it. Then I end up under the desk, I'm looking at nothing but pantyhose. It smells like sausage and salmon and
Jesus Christ, what the hell school was this?
St.
It's like a
Margaret's.
House of Horrors.
St. Margaret's. I swear to God, man, my teacher would have been arrested if she did some of the shit she did back then. But that was the time when Van Halen came out with "Hot for Teacher."
Oh yeah, I know.
So we actually thought it was great.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess that was the easy way to get off the Sasha Banks Bayley topic. I don't think WWE is screwed, McCrew, if this crap continues. But, let's put it this way. We've had many July 4th holidays and July 3rds in the last 27 years of Raw. 27. You think of all, and, when you get the third lowest rating in 27 years, yeah, you can't blame that on holidays anymore. You can't blame it on other things. I don't know. But I do agree, Anthony Diaz, I like Kairi Sane. I think she should stay. I think, the fact that she doesn't speak English hurts a little bit, but she plays the recorder, and believe it or not, everybody, and I brought this up once before, recorder we actually had in second grade. Anybody could go on eBay, Amazon, and buy a recorder for $5, and you can actually learn in about 15 minutes how to play as good as Kairi Sane.
Really?
Yeah, because I haven't played it since like second and third grade, but what I do remember is depending on how hard you blew and, just putting your fingers over the holes, it's not like a flute that has like 35 holes and you got to go this way. But the recorder is actually, you know what? I think I'm going to buy one. Seriously, for $5, I'm going to buy one. And then you give me a week or two, I'll come up here and I'll do songs. For Super Child, take requests.
It's a kid's toy, though. Isn't it like a kid's
thing? It's a
thing?
kid's toy.
Yeah, it's a kid's instrument.
Yeah. But, so look, I'm sorry to spring this on you, but we got a little treat today. Somebody actually sent this over. I don't think it's really that hard to think about, but a little interaction with everybody out there. Something to think about. And then when we're finished with the show, I'll spring it on you and you could name your names. But, a lot of people out there, like they'll show like 4 different photos and they'll say eliminate one, or they'll say they'll have like groups of 4 people and you could only choose one, but like things like that. So somebody passed along with me. Let's say you were going to start your own wrestling promotion. You're going to start your own wrestling promotion. And I don't know, some lawsuit or something happens, and because of that, or maybe WWE, they just go out of business and every wrestler in the country is a free agent. Every promoter was accused of speaking out. There was no wrestling promotions. All the wrestlers were without jobs in the United States. You're starting your first promotion. You get the first 8 picks. Very simple. Who would be your first 2 male wrestlers, your first 2 female wrestlers, your first 2 tag teams, 1 commentator, 1 manager. So later on, you don't have to come up with it now, but later on, think about it. 2 male wrestlers, 2 females, 2 males, 2 females, 2 tag teams, a manager, and a commentator. Who would be your picks? And everybody out there, not just the chat room, go on to YouTube and post who you would choose. 2 male, 2 female, 2 tag team, 1 manager, 1 commentator. Very easy. Very easy. So congratulations are in order. I don't know if you heard about this, but Sarah Logan will not be coming back to wrestling anytime soon. That's not the good news. I mean, the good news is that her and Erik are going to have a baby.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's great news. Happy for her.
Yeah, I'm very happy for them. I mean, a lot of people thought that Sarah Logan was going to return, and then she was going to do MMA, and now she's pregnant. The funny thing is that I saw people writing today like, well, maybe that's why she didn't make the return. I think the pregnancy test just turned blue, like within the last day or 2. So she could have come back a month and a half ago and worked. I don't think they were aware that she was pregnant. I don't think they were even trying to have a baby a month and a half ago. But I'm very happy for them. Good for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to shout out Jay Farouk. Much love from Michigan. So shout out. And by the way, we can't do roll call on Monday. It would take way too long to do, especially with all the extra people tuning in. But shout out to everybody who's tuning in live, everybody on the archives. Much appreciated as always. So getting back to Raw, overall thoughts of the show today.
I thought it was better than the last couple of weeks. I don't know if I give it a thumbs up, but I'll probably a thumbs in the middle, but it was definitely better than the last few weeks. That's for sure. I don't know how the rating's going to be, and I already know the excuses. It's 4th of July extended weekend, and I know what you just said about that. But I have a feeling the ratings aren't going to be so good, but I guess we'll wait till tomorrow afternoon to find out. But I thought it was better than it's been. I wasn't like, all restless and like I want to change the channel. I kind of tuned in. I was pretty attentive to this show. Unlike last couple of weeks, I was really restless and really wanted to change the channel. We talked about that. Drew opened it up. We kind of got the leak of a former WWE guy who was fired recently coming back. It turns out to be Heath Slater. So I kind of figured that was going to be an interaction because of that 3-man band association. I also thought Slater would put up more of a match than 5 seconds. But again, he just kicked him in the face and it was over. But that was cool when he came out and did his usual, you didn't care about me, I was happy for you. I mean, they played it the way they needed to play it. But again, DT, when you got 30 people from NXT, the reaction is so limited of what the oohs and ahs that it kind of, you got to enjoy it just for what it is. You know what I'm saying? Instead of how the live reaction would have been. I don't know if a live crowd would have really popped anyway.
Look, the 3-man band, 3MB, the triangle is now complete. For people that don't know what I mean.
Yeah.
As far as 3MB wrestling each other, September 2012 was the first time that Drew McIntyre took on Jinder Mahal. August of 2016, Jinder Mahal took on Heath Slater. And tonight, Heath Slater took on Drew McIntyre. So the triangle is now complete. They all wrestled each other. Somebody also pointed out that the 3MB formula seems to be that you get released, then you get bulked up, and you grow a beard, and then you come back, and then you try to make a statement. Happened to Drew, happened to Jinder, and now it happened to Heath Slater. The only thing is that you think Heath Slater's sticking around?
No, and I don't see Heath Slater coming back all jacked. I don't see Heath Slater pulling a trifecta and him coming back. That would be too bizarre, by the way. Can you imagine him all Ultimate Warrior jacked up? I can't picture that. And he's not that tall. He doesn't have the height that Jinder and Drew have, the stature. So I don't know if he can pull that off. I don't know if that's doable. I think he could come back as an enhancement talent again, like the way, what's his name, came back, Ryder's partner. What's his name?
Kurt Hawkins?
Kurt Hawkins, yeah. Remember, they fired him. He came back with the cane. Thought he was going to get a push. Then he just became the guy who lost the most matches. I think Slater can get hired again, but he would just be enhancement talent again, or maybe mid-carder, but not a top guy. But it would be interesting. I mean, that would be something to get to see the 3 of them come back like that and win world titles. I just don't see that for Slater.
Yeah,
he's not that kind of talent.
I look at it like this. After the match was over, how emotional Heath Slater got. I mean, he was very happy for his friend and, likewise with Drew McIntyre, but that hug and the red eyes looked more like, here's my appearance. It was awesome, but as of right now, it doesn't look like that I have any deal. For newer listeners, newer viewers out there, there's something that you unfortunately haven't had the luxury of enjoying like we did when we were very young. It was the OSD called a one-shot deal. And that was something that it wasn't used all the time, but there were many times in our wrestling fandomhood back in the days when the other promotions were around that wrestlers would come in for the one-shot deal. So that's what it seems to be with Heath Slater tonight. His promo was fabulous. It's just that cutting a promo is not enough. And Heath Slater by himself even if they put the referee shirt back on him, I don't know. I don't see, like there's fans out there that are rooting for Heath Slater, to stay in wrestling, reinvent himself.
Yeah.
I think going to Impact, going to NWA, man, I can't wait to talk about it Wednesday. NWA, I'm a little concerned about, and it's not just because Dave Lagan is out of there. Ricky Starks is gone. Now Zicky Dice is gone. So I think, believe it or not, Heath Slater might be best suited to go to NWA right now. Maybe you reinvent your character a little bit. It's just, I agree with you. If Heath Slater came out to a live audience tonight, and I'm sorry for making this comparison, but the immediate thought that I had when you said that was when Grandmaster Sexay made God Rest His Soul came back during the Michael Cole, I think Jerry Lawler feud. And I think WWE expected some great reaction from the fans, and the fans were dead silent. And I honestly think if Heath Slater were to come back tonight and there were regular fans, business as usual, I don't think fans would have popped. Why would they have popped?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, if anybody wants to see the most cringe, and it's sad now because he's deceased too. So I mean, but when Grandmaster Sexay came back, I think we did a show that night.
It was uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was so uncomfortable. It was horrendous, and it wasn't that far removed from Too Cool being there. It was 10 years removed, and people were just like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And it was just shows you out of sight, out of mind, right, DT?
Yeah. And his match with Drew McIntyre was a couple of seconds. I mean, Claymore kick done. And then to keep face with Heath Slater, you have Dolph Ziggler smacking him around a little bit. And, this is to, so Heath could keep his baby face, intact, especially on social media. It was a great moment. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't know if I would watch a table for 3 of 3MB, having a little update, now. But, when they did that simulcast, I think on the Bump, it might have been, where Heath Slater was on simulcast and Drew McIntyre had the belt and Heath Slater was legitimately choked up. That was a real moment. Those guys really became close. So it was nice to see him today. But, again, the one-shot deal is not, it's not used much anymore, but back in the day, we had that happen many times. So, sure. It was fine. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. So let me ask you this. Another thing that was a big deal tonight on Raw was MVP coming out with the newly designed United States Championship. What's your thoughts on that new title?
Looks nice. I like it better than the other one. It looked pretty good. A little presumptuous, but and I hope MVP again. I want him to be a manager. I'm all for him being a manager. I don't want him to be a competitor and a manager. Just let him have a stable. I like this thing he's doing with Lashley. Looks like they're trying to court Cedric Alexander now, which rumor has it he might turn on Ricochet. I got no problem with that either. Cedric desperately needs to do something. If it's not going to be Apollo, it's going to be Cedric. Build a nice little stable heel fraction there. But I don't want MVP wrestling. Just let him be a manager. His in-ring day should be over in my opinion. Special attraction once a year, but not every fucking week.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to disrespect any other websites or podcasts out there. And yes, July remains goof-free month, so we're not going to go there. But I'm going to make a point. I invite anybody out there to look at almost every other podcast and website when they're showing pictures of the title. They're showing pictures where it looks like it was colored in with crayons. The contrast is so off, and it makes the title look so plain. When you actually, and small pictures don't even do its justice. When you look at the title up close, especially on an angle, honestly, in my honest opinion, this is a beautiful looking title. I think some people were concerned before they launched the new design that, with the current environment we're in, it's almost like, you can't be proud of the USA, that maybe WWE waters down the red, white, and blue, and it's still the United States title, but they'll take away the U.S. feel to it. But you look at it up close, it's got, the flag, it's got the winged eagle, it's got the stars and the stripes, and I honestly, I know some people think it's cacas. I absolutely think this title is beautiful. I like the title.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it very much. But the only thing I was really concerned about tonight is Apollo Crews. I don't know if anybody else thought about this. Why is MVP debuting Apollo Crews' title? I mean, I know what they tried to pull off on TV today.
Right.
But Apollo Crews, this is his title. Why is Apollo Crews not at Raw today? And again, I'm not going to be one of those to speculate as far as who tested positive and who didn't, and this and that.
Yeah.
But I am very confused why you would debut someone else's title and the champion is not there. Why would MVP... Yes, he wants the title, and he believes he's going to win the title. And the only reason why he's facing Apollo Crews is because they don't want Lashley losing to Apollo Crews right now.
Right.
But the fact that Apollo Crews is not on Raw to debut the new design of his title, to me, is a huge, huge deal. That makes zero sense. If Apollo Crews shows up next week, why not just debut the title next week?
I don't know. Maybe there's something that's going to go on and there's going to be a default. I'm
Rob,
not sure.
Yeah, Rob, I'm not speculating. I'm confused. I'm confused.
Know.
I think of all the years when someone has a title debut, the champion is the one in the ring to see their new title, not the challenger. What did MVP do? Steal it from the WWE? It doesn't make sense. If MVP came out and declared himself champion and came out with his own fake belt, I'm not saying like the Ric Flair stuff, but if he comes out with his own title and he feels he's the real champion, that's different. But he's coming out with WWE's launch, the redesign of Apollo Crews' title. It makes zero sense. None. But you could buy it for $429 right now, but...
No, that's good.
I'll tell you, $429, even though I wouldn't spend it on that, that's not a bad price for that title. I mean, I talked about it last Wednesday. You have MLW charging $2,000 for an MLW title. I mean, you could buy freaking this championship for $400 and still have $1,400, $1,600 left over.
Well, I'm not like a big belt aficionado. I know some people are who are fans of the show, but anybody even in the chat, what does a normal, the standard belt go for in WWE Championship or something on their site? What do they sell it for?
It's $500-$600.
Is it good? They'll go that $500-$600, really? Wow.
Yeah, the New Japan Alberts is bringing up is only $299. Yeah, you got $400 to $500. I think would be the norm. For the most part. I mean, the AEW belt that I got, I made a deal with someone and I got it dirt cheap, but you could find decent replicas online for about $350, $380. So that's about the price. But I don't know. Again, beautiful looking belt, makes no sense, and as we saw tonight, Ricochet, Cedric, not getting any love right now in the win department, but I'm curious. You almost feel like MVP's got to get somebody on board. Take note. I'm not trying to cause controversy, but take note. Yes, he originally approached Vink and Stink. Forget them. Unless they were Steve Martin's, if you know what I'm talking about. But ever since he approached Vink and Stink, he approached Lashley. He approached Apollo Crews. He approached... did he approach Shelton Benjamin? Kind of. He approached...
half-halfway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is this turning into a black storyline? I'm not trying to be racist or controversial. I'm just pointing it out. is this turning into a black storyline?
Well, it's turning into an African American heel faction, which we haven't had in quite a while. All African American. If they do that, Cedric, Apollo, maybe Shelton. I think Cedric's going to turn. Do you kind of see that, DT? Cedric will turn?
Possibly.
They're doing playing second banana to Ricochet. You look like his lackey. Like, that's the kind of stuff that gets guys to turn. See, Apollo wasn't buying it because Apollo was champion. He's like, I'm champion. What do I got to turn for? But Cedric is on the losing end all the time. So they're like, hey, you're a loser.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of see him coming back. And I tell you, Cedric, with the move set that he has, if he can get some swagger and some attitude, he can maybe get over as a heel.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. I'm actually looking forward to that.
I'll tell you, one thing that surprised the shit out of me is WWE knows who gets great reaction and who doesn't. Ricochet used to get actually a great reaction. Cedric, with all due respect, that's why I used to make the jokes. Every time I get the call, no one reacts to me at all. If he was getting crazy pops, or even decent pops, you think I would have came out with every time he gets the call, no one reacts to him at all. So if you're going to do a swerve or a twist in a character, take advantage and do it without live fans there. So this way, you don't have to worry about, him bombing in front of a live crowd. I mean, I'll never forget, and I know I've brought this up at least a half a dozen times over the last couple of years, but I'll never forget that interview segment. And a lot of know, and I'm sorry if anybody remembers what I'm going to bring up, but, the interview segments where somebody is in the back being interviewed, and then someone will enter the picture on your TV screen. And when they enter the picture, they look up with that pause because they want to give the fans time to pop. I mean, any wrestler, somebody that's popular, they would enter the picture. Or, even if Charlie Caruso would say, please welcome my guest, Rey Mysterio. And then Rey would come in and the crowd would pop. And one time, somebody was being interviewed, and Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander entered the TV screen, and he looked up, and there was no pop, and that pretty much was the birth of the little jingle I came up with. But do it now. If you're gonna turn them, do it while there's no live fans there, other than the NXT stars at ringside. This way, you don't have to worry about negative feedback. Oh my God, he turned heel and nobody gave a shit. That's one thing that WWE is not capitalizing on. Right now, they don't have to worry about podcasters saying, wow, blah, 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 showed up and nobody gave a shit. Blah, 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 showed up and nobody gave a shit. Blah, 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 came out, nobody gave a shit. You got 5 months to take advantage of that. There's no podcast right now saying, nobody gave a shit. Because there's no fans there. So do it now. I don't know what they're waiting for.
No time like the present.
Yeah, but we'll get into the results. In fact, I guess we could talk a little bit about Raw right now, and then we'll give the updated card for Extreme Rules. We got a couple other things to talk about, so we still got about a half an hour, of content. And by the way, a little announcement later on regarding bringing back sort of This Week in Wrestling History, sort of, but I'll explain a little bit later on. But we had Raw open up today. Dolph Ziggler, the stipulation is a surprise at Extreme Rules. We won't know until then. Ziggler's talking smack to Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre's talking smack. Ziggler brings out Heath Slater. Heath Slater wore a shirt that said free agent. Cut a very passionate promo. It was real. It was real. He cut his promo. Drake Maverick cut his promo. Eddie Kingston cuts his promos in NWA. It's about real life. Sonya Deville, her promos was, based on reality. Some of the best promos that you will ever get from wrestlers that are not great at cutting promos or known for cutting good promos is when it comes straight from here. Not from the back or the management. When it comes straight from here, you're letting out true emotion. You could go on a rant about something personal about you. I could go on a rant about something personal about me. And after it's done, people will say, wow, that was epic. Because for some reason, when people talk from the heart, it always seems to flow beautifully because it's real. And that's what happened with Heath Slater today. Unfortunately, his match with Drew McIntyre only lasted 25 seconds.
Was that what it was? 25
yeah, 25 or 26 seconds. I didn't have the stopwatch out, but, it was, quick and done. Hey, man, I know some people out there going to say, yeah, fuck them. They released you. Don't go back. You got to be like, I used to say woo, 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 but now it's boo, hoo, hoo. They wanted to use his pool. What's his face? Zack Ryder. And Zack Ryder got pissed off, because they asked Chelsea Green instead of him. And
pool too. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I mean, they wanted to use the pool. He's like, fuck them. Boo, hoo, hoo. But the thing is that, got a nice payday. 25 seconds. Doesn't affect his 90-day no-compete.
Nope.
Gets
him on TV. It's the beginning of the show, and most people are tuning in.
Yeah. I mean, I think in his heart, Heath Slater would love to remain at WWE and not go to another promotion because his whole career has been there. He'll never say that publicly. It's like, what it's like? It's like he goes to another promotion and does interviews, even on podcasts. He's not going to say, my heart's in WWE and, I would really rather be there. That's like dating someone new. And that person says, I love hanging out with you and spending time getting to know you, but, my heart really is with Adam. It's like, I wish I was with Adam still. I mean, how does that current person feel?
Or Eve. Yeah,
or Eve. So that was the beginning of Raw. Then we get the fucking Bayley, Sasha Banks promo. Asuka interrupts. And then we find out that Kairi Sane is going to be with Asuka tonight. And then, the usual, Sasha could, challenge anybody. She'll face anybody you want to bring out there. And then Sasha and Bayley look shocked that Kairi Sane came out. In storyline, the entire net knew that Kairi Sane was appearing on Raw tonight. They act shocked. So we then have Kairi Sane beat Sasha Banks by DQ. 13 minutes. Not a bad match.
Oh, not bad.
I don't know if Kairi Sane ever fought Sasha Banks before.
Not that I remember. They match up well because Sasha's not that big, and Kairi's always been so outsized. Everyone from Lacey Evans to Nia Jax, they just tower over her. Even Dana Brooke towers over her. But Sasha and her match up very well. I enjoyed the match. Could have been a little bit better, but it wasn't bad. Like I said, I was happy to see Kairi Sane. I hope she stays. I hope she chooses to stay here. And she's good. Her and Asuka are good together. I think Asuka on her own might be a little vulnerable. Asuka having someone that watch her back, I think, is good, especially since this feud with Bayley and Sasha seems to be continuing, and Asuka's got her own issues with other people holding the title for one of the programs. But I thought they matched up well. I don't recall them. If they had a match before, they might have had several. I don't remember it, but they, tail of the tape, they match up really well, Sasha Banks and Kairi Sane. Yeah,
I mean, I look at it like you can't always depend on Asuka. I mean, Asuka obviously, is one of the MVPs of WWE during the COVID era without question. But, after a while, you keep using the same person against the same person over and over and over and over and over again. It gets played. And to have Kairi Sane in the mix, that opens up so many different opportunities. You could have tag matches. You could have singles matches. You could have handicap matches. By the way, what's going on with Nia Jax?
Good question. I was just thinking that myself. What is going on?
Yeah, I mean, anyone out there, I don't pay attention to a lot of these websites anymore, but, I mean, has anybody heard anything about Nia Jax? Because ever since, Kairi Sane got cut up, on the ring steps that time, we really has not seen much of Nia Jax at all. Yeah, Brian, it's not a matter of who cares. It's, we're asking a question. I'm curious. What's going on with Nia Jax right now? Very curious. I care. I want to know what's going on with Nia. So she did, yes, that's right, Austin. She did the injury spot with Charlotte, and now she's gone.
That's right. Yes. Thank you, Austin. That's why I see it just slips right by your mind.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, what, part of a lot of the complaints and a lot of the incidents that happened. You know, I wonder how much of that had to do with this. You know, I think, I'll be honest with you. I think that if Charlotte did not get injured, Nia Jax would still be on TV right now. I personally, I think that Charlotte being off totally derailed like a few different people's storylines. And because of that, they decided to rewrite everything. And Nia Jax seems to be the odd woman out, you know? So, I don't know. Just something to point out, you know, again, if you some of you out there don't care, you know, you still have to ask the question. I mean, what do you want me to say? Next we have Aleister Black, who I guess was attacked, you know, in the back. We don't know what's going on. I mean, I am not thrilled at how they have used Aleister Black in the last month. That's another guy that it just feels, ever since WrestleMania and Corbin fucking almost committing murder, throwing him off the fucking building, it's like they have really just totally become clueless of what to do with this guy.
That's true.
You know? So now we have, you know, the Viking Raiders segment with the Big Show in the back. You know, it was what it was. I mean, it was just an odd segment because they're talking normal. And Big Show's getting a little annoyed, and he chops Erik, he chops Ivar, and then they're like, well, maybe you don't understand the Viking way, or we're different, this and that. But nothing about this segment was like odd or weird. It's not like they were grunting. You know, they were just talking normal. And then they do a 5-second pose, which, you know, I don't know. I'm not feeling it.
No.
So next, Kevin Owens show. Interesting tweet. If anybody wants to go check it out, Kevin Owens paying a little tribute to Rey Mysterio tonight. A lot of news going around that Rey Mysterio's contract has expired. He requested a raise, which for some people might think is a little ridiculous during the COVID era, but I heard when he rejoined WWE, his contract was lower than what, you know, people thought it would be. So him asking for a raise, although odd from a lot of people, I'm hearing it's actually, you know, not, you know, it's not too outrageous for him to ask, but he's a team player and he's still, you know, working. And now he's having a match with Seth Rollins at Extreme Rules, the horror show, which they said 50 times tonight. But Kevin Owens comes out and he's interviewing Seth Rollins and they're talking about their Mania match and everything. And then this leads to Rey coming out with Dominic. And then, you know, because Aleister Black was attacked, you know, like Rey doesn't have a partner. So KO agrees to team up with him. Then they have some deal that if their team wins, that Rey could choose the stipulation with Rollins and Murphy, you know, facing him as well. And in the end, you know, Aleister Black comes out anyway. Rey Mysterio and Kevin Owens get the win. And Rey Mysterio decides the match is going to be an eye for an eye. What do you think that means, Kev?
I don't know. I'm not sure what that means. You know, he gets to literally take his eye out with a hot spoon. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, I mean, to what extent do you just like poke him like Roddy Piper, like poke him in the eye, or do you have to you know, whale the person in the barricade? Personally, I think this is going to lead to my original prediction of Dominic joining up with Seth Rollins. So even though the stipulation sounds all whacked out, maybe it doesn't even get to that point because Dominic turns and maybe it just ends in a, you know, maybe Rey could get the other eye banged up. He could come out with no eyes.
You see Casino and Joe Pesci puts the guy's head in a vice. He goes, I got your head in a vice. And he pops his eye out when he squeezes the thing out. So I don't know what that means. Well, it's a horror show. So maybe DT, maybe they will take an eye. Someone's got to sacrifice for the company.
I don't know. But right now, an eye for an eye. I mean, you know, it's just, you know, look, it's a figure of speech. You know, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But now it's like an eye for an eye. No, really, an eye for an eye. It's like, okay, it's got to end with some stupidity attached to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we have MVP and Bobby Lashley cutting their promo. They announced that MVP is going to face Apollo at Extreme Rules, the horror show, for the U.S. title. And then they proceed to go to the ring and debut the belt, which we talked before. It just doesn't seem to make sense. Ricochet and Cedric Alexander come out, and they're upset. So they decide to have a tag match with MVP and Bobby Lashley. MVP wrestling in a suit. And they defeat Cedric and Ricochet.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe Cedric joining up. Not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. I'm very curious. But next, the segment that really intrigued me.
Okay.
How do you feel about Randy Orton's use right now?
The way they're utilizing him as
the way they're utilizing him right now.
I mean, I like it. Again, he's doing the Legend Killer thing again. My God, he was so much bigger than Andrade and Garza. He just towered over them. See that vignette in the back with Ric Flair talking to him and with him threatening Garza and Andrade? But they look like two little kids next to him. How big? Orton is like 6'5", right? Is it that Orton is the left? Was it the camera angle, DT? But he looked like just towered over those guys.
Randy Orton is very tall.
Yeah, I know. Those guys are maybe 5'8", 5'9". But the way he threatened Andrade and Garza. So obviously Orton is, showing that I will fuck up anybody. I am this gray area heel. Heel, baby face, doesn't matter. I'll fuck you up. I like that. I mean, it's very Austin-ish from back in the day. They haven't had a guy like that in a while. Drew McIntyre was kind of like that when he was doing the Scottish Psychopath. But Orton, it fits the character well. I like the fact that he will fuck with anybody. He's not aligned really with anybody.
How'd you like his interaction tonight with Andrade and Garza?
Oh, when he was holding Garza by the face and like, I will fucking bury, not fucking, he didn't say that, I embellished. He said, I will bury you or put you in the dirt. I liked it. Like I said, he can't be trusted by anybody. Very Austin-ish, but it fits Orton's character, the Viper, the Legend Killer, opportunist. I like it. I think it's a good character.
Yeah, Austin, I don't think he's 6'4" only. I'm 6'3" 3/4.
Orton looked like 6.
Yeah, Orton's got to be like 6'5",
I mean, Ric Flair,
6'6". Yeah,
Ric Flair is shrinking. Ric Flair's an old man, but he towered over Andrade. Yeah. And I'm just like, how big is Andrade? Maybe that's why they don't push too much.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I think people are jumping the gun when they say, "Oh, the new legacy." Look, Randy Orton wanted to do something with the Revival, now FTR. Randy Orton wanted to do stuff with some other young stars as well. You look at Seth Rollins originally trying to do something with Austin Theory, who is vanished right now, and we don't know the exact reason. There's been so many different accusations, from COVID to hashtag speaking out. We don't know, but if they're going to have Austin Theory in Seth Rollins' camp, I think it is a fabulous, fabulous idea for Randy Orton to start a new group with Angel Garza and someone else. I don't know if you put Andrade in there because, this obviously would affect Zelina Vega for sure. Andrade, I don't know if he would fit really in Randy Orton's group, but the interaction that Orton and Garza had tonight, I thought was fucking fabulous. I don't know how much WWE liked the idea that his hand was almost like wrapped around his throat.
Oh yeah, he looked like it.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I have zero complaints of how they're using Randy Orton right now. And if Randy Orton is enjoying himself and he sees a couple of really young stars and he goes to WWE and say, let me try to do to them what Ric Flair and Triple H did for me when I was in Evolution, I think having a little faction would be fucking fabulous. I liked it. I liked it very much. Randy Orton gaining control of those guys during a match tonight where Zelina Vega has kind of not been able to in the past would be some interesting storyline. The only problem is it would remind me too much of MVP and Lana.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know if they're going to go that route. But, ultimately it's going to be Randy Orton versus Big Show at Extreme Rules. That's going to be where it's going to go. But, man, WWE should really take a step back and think about, if they can possibly do something with, involving Angel Garza and Randy Orton. I like that idea.
And the legacy obviously makes sense because of the lineage and the history with the families, third generation, legit, all three of them. But and that's a way to get them over, because let's be honest, we can all say, oh, we're good. Oh, I'm a fan of Garza. I'm a fan of Andrade, but we all know they're not over, not because of COVID. Doesn't matter. There would be a crowd there. Andrade still get the same tepid response. This has been going on for 2 years, and take Zelina Vega away from it, gets even worse. We can think they're good all day long, and they are good, but they have to connect with the fans. It's not necessarily because of the English language barrier problem. That is a little bit of an issue. But if they can start a new legacy, and that's just a rumor right now, we all like kind of going with these narratives because it's cool to think about it. And if we're in creative, we probably all go for it and do it. Randy Orton could probably get him over. So I'm all for it too. I think, again, a faction with Cedric Alexander and a faction with Randy Orton, these two guys, creatively, it's a beautiful way to go. But will they go that way? It's to be seen, to be determined. Mm-hmm.
Ruby Riott losing to Billie Kay. Billie Kay just got awful. I mean, I invite anybody to go back later and look at how she was holding Ruby Riott's ankle like I would hold a cigarette. It was just, I mean, it's just, I'm not like obsessed with knocking her, but if you actually look closely at what she does, she just doesn't, it looks like she's got 100-pound sandbag on her back.
She doesn't have the basics down pat, like the fundamentals, like Keith Hernandez would, and some people couldn't catch a grounder. We're in the big leagues now. He would say, you watch the Mets games, DT, you know how Keith is. When someone makes a ridiculous error, like this is the big leagues. That's what Billie Kay does. This is the big leagues, the fundamentals, the basics, the takeover, the wrist lock, the trip up. She can't do anything. She's very two left feet. Peyton Royce is getting better. I'll give her credit. We gave her credit last week. Ruby Riott's just on the receiving end of a losing streak. There's probably a method to this madness of making Ruby lose and look pathetic like this. Hopefully there's a rainbow.
I'm not concerned with Ruby Riott at all.
You think she'll come back? But Billie Kay doesn't have the basics down pat, and I don't understand that for someone who's in the big leagues. I don't get it.
I see people saying they should bring Ruby Riott to NXT again. They should release her, let her go to AEW and others. I'm telling everybody now, do not worry about Ruby Riott. This is all a storyline. They're going to rejoin her and Liv Morgan. I know what people are going to say. Well, the Riott Squad weren't all that great back then. Well, you know what? Liv Morgan has improved drastically in her ability. Still got way more to go. Ruby Riott, will, bounce back from this. This is, you may not like the storyline, but Ruby Riott's losing streak will end in the next couple of weeks. Do not worry. If anybody's big fans of Ruby Riott, it's frustrating that she keeps losing.
One right here.
Wait a little bit longer. I'm not saying I agree with it, but don't worry about it. WWE knows how talented she is.
Yeah, she's not getting released or anything like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, this is all the storyline to bring her back with Liv Morgan. And who knows? A couple of months from now, they might be the tag champs.
Yeah, big babyface tag team.
Yep, absolutely. But tonight, it was what it was. I wouldn't.
And our hair extension fell out. You see that, DT?
Yeah. I mean, if things couldn't go worse, but nothing to worry about.
Poor girl.
And by the way, I know we're almost at the 60-minute mark. Like I said, everybody, Mondays from now on will be between 60 and 75 minutes. Still got 15 minutes.
Right.
It doesn't have to be to the exact minute, but 60 to 75 minutes is plenty of time.
On point.
Main event tonight, you have Asuka versus Bayley. No titles on the line. A lot of interference from Sasha Banks and Bayley. There was some funny moments, but, Nikki Cross, at ringside, yes, that's because Nikki Cross is going to be facing Bayley at Extreme Rules. But just because she's behind the plexiglass, like Bayley is freaked out, Bayley throws a little bit of bottled water not orange juice, not soda, not a beer, but bottled water in Asuka's face, and Asuka's acting for a couple of seconds like she's blinded. Kairi Sane's antics were funny. Sasha teasing as far as having the belts. It was a good match for how it lasted, but I think in the end everybody knew that there was going to be a lot of interference, and now this leads next week into the Kabuki Warriors taking on Sasha and Bayley, and once again you have the focus around Sasha and Bayley. I have a feeling Sasha and Bayley will not be on Great American Bash this week, so we might actually get NXT without either of them. But they're already hyping next week as, the Kabuki Warriors versus Bayley and Sasha. I know the match is going to be excellent. But what'd you think of the main event tonight?
I thought it was not bad. Again, just like with Kairi and Sasha, Bayley and Asuka match up well. Body types, the size of them, the styles are a little bit different, but they're a good matchup. I enjoyed it for what it was. I liked them individually against each other, and I like the teams against each other. They're 4 top girls, in my opinion. There's not one dead weight in the 4. So I like the mixing and matching, and I thought the match was pretty good itself. I mean, listen, that's a pay-per-view. I don't know if it's a pay-per-view main event anywhere, but that's a good main event for television. So I thought it was all right. I thought it was not bad.
Yeah, I mean, Nikki Cross, I see a lot more complaints lately with her. I mean, her being loud and taunting, that's her whole character. I mean, she's not a psycho anymore. If people notice, they tweaked her character because they don't want to do anything with mental, at all. So she's more of just being like a thorn in Bayley's side. But, again, you got Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, Bayley, Sasha Banks, and now sort of the Kabuki Warriors, which is fine. But you see all of the other women that are just hurting because of this. Shayna Baszler, my God, just put her back in NXT. Yeah. I mean, if the main roster and the writers for Raw, SmackDown, and Vince don't know what to do with her, the problem is she's so dominant. The problem with Shayna Baszler is this. In NXT, she was extremely dominant. She was a scary motherfucker. She's a nasty motherfucker that you do not want to see in a dark alley. The problem is you bring her to the main roster, they know how to use her. The problem is they put her up against Becky, and WWE's like, no, we don't want her to defeat Becky. Even though Becky did want her to win, but no, we don't want her to beat Becky. And then Charlotte, who is their golden egg, just their crown jewel. No, we don't want her to beat Charlotte. Then Bayley and Sasha Banks. No, we don't want her. And it would have made sense anyway because Sasha and Bayley are heels also. So it wouldn't have made sense. So when you look up and down the roster, who is Shayna Baszler going to be able to feud with and defeat? So that's the problem. They bring it to the main roster. They have this maniac, this beast. Remember, Count Dracula, biting into Becky. And then it's like, no, she can't beat this person. No, she can't beat this person. Who the fuck she going to beat? So just put her back on NXT.
Oh, man.
I mean, is there anybody that is a solid babyface that you could see Shayna Baszler going over on right now on the main roster?
No. I mean, they have Alexa and Lacey, even though they're heels to me, they both suck as babyfaces. I don't see anybody who matches up good with her. Yeah. With Shayna in a babyface role.
By the way, everyone, I wasn't imitating anyone. That was like if you want to call it anything, that was like the triple Vince impersonation, or the Vince Levesque. I think it was a combination of Triple H and Vince. They have nobody. It's almost like somebody who buys too many things on Amazon and eBay, and then they get it delivered to the house and they open it up and they're looking at it like, what am I going to do with this? Like, why did I buy this in the first place? They brought it to the main roster, and there's nobody for her to gnaw on, if you want to use that. So it's not Shayna Baszler's fault. It's just WWE has nobody to feed her to. I mean, what are you going to do? Feed her to, what's her face? Well, Deonna Purrazzo's now gone, but, they're going to do, bring somebody in from NXT, Lisa White, Jan Smith, and squash her after 2-3 weeks. That gets
Jan
old.
Smith is good, though. Jan Smith is awesome, though.
Yeah, she's great.
It's Jan Smith.
Yeah, the best of Jan Smith. So that was your episode of Raw tonight. It was an okay episode. I like the Randy Orton Garza, interaction. I think the belt is beautiful, but bringing it out, MVP bringing it out made no sense whatsoever. Ric Flair interacting, it's nice to see. I don't know how much longer that's going to go on television. I mean, I'm sure Randy Orton loves having Ric Flair by his side. They're very close. So, enjoy Ric Flair while he's still here, because who knows, a year from now, we don't wish nothing, but a year from now, he might not be here anymore.
Yeah, we don't know anything.
Yeah. So this Wednesday, we have AEW Fyter Fest Night 2. We have Great American Bash Night 2. The advertised matches for both. Mercedes Martinez makes a return to NXT. You have a street fight between Mia Yim and Candice LeRae. El Legado del Fantasma, which is Santos Escobar, Raul Mendoza, and Joaquin Wilde versus Breezango and Drake Maverick. And the winner-take-all match, Keith Lee versus Adam Cole. On the AEW side, you have Kenny Omega and Hangman Page versus Private Party for the tag titles. Lance Archer versus Joey Janela. FTR and the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers and the Ice Cream Men. Nyla Rose in a match. Dark Order and Colt Cabana versus SoCal. Uncensored. And Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. How do those cards sound to you?
Sounds pretty good. I mean, you know me. I'm looking forward to NXT. I'm more of an NXT guy. Giving AEW its props. So I thought NXT was both shows. I did watch both shows. Even keel last week, but this week, to me, stronger is and at least piques my interest more as the NXT card. So I'll probably be watching that full throughout, and then watch AEW the next day. For me,
absolutely. I wanted to mention this also. There's a little bit of news coming out tonight that WWE staff, many more people tested positive for COVID last week. And WWE's already done almost 2,000 tests, and they're going to be doing it for the foreseeable future. Again, I've been saying this for months. It's a tax write-off. I don't know why they waited so long to be testing people. But I'll say this. I don't know your thoughts on this, but I'm going to take a little different view on this. The one thing I think a lot of people are forgetting is that, people are immediately thinking that everybody got tested positive at the Performance Center. Right. And the problem is they're in sunny Florida, that, you were able to go to bars, you're able to go to restaurants, you're able to go on the beach. Everybody wants a tan because of, their look on TV. Mm-hmm. And just because WWE staff test positive doesn't mean that they caught the virus while working under WWE's roof. So I think a lot of people out there really need to take a step back sometimes and remember that although it's careless on, the people that caught it. Like I said, my brother's store, my father's store, they've been open since day one of COVID. Nobody's caught the virus, and everybody is taking all the precautions. I've taken precautions. I've been tested 4 times, nothing. You take the precautions, the chances of getting it is very, 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 very low. But, it doesn't mean that WWE, their building is dangerous. Right. A lot of these people could have caught it going to restaurants, bars, the beach, and WWE. Because remember, and I pointed this out, I've been tested 4 times already.
Right.
Nobody required me to get this done. I did it
for your own well-being, yeah.
I did it for my well-being and to make sure that I'm clear when I go see my parents.
Right.
Think of the WWE roster that didn't take it upon themselves to say, let me go get tested. They waited until WWE to do it. So I know we all criticize WWE, and they definitely deserve criticism many times over. But I think in this case, you got to criticize the WWE staff, the wrestlers, for not taking it upon themselves to get tested periodically on their own. The idea like, well, WWE should have been the one testing. You know, nobody needs to fucking hold your hand for every little thing that you do. And I know that there's some in WWE that are going and getting tested on their own. But to wait until WWE starts testing to finally get a test done, I think that is ridiculous. So, you know, in this case, everybody, you may disagree with me, but I would not put the blame on WWE for a lot of these recent positive tests. You know, if WWE would have tested sooner, you know, people would have been found positive sooner. And you could tell. I don't speculate, but when you see people cutting promos and they're not in the building or they're totally gone and it's only for a 2-week period, that kind of gives you an idea as far as what's going on. Because if somebody's scared shit to perform in that building, they're not going to just stay away for 2 weeks and then come back.
Of course.
You know,
of course. And I agree with you, DT. Everyone was making like it was this big petri dish of danger, that they didn't care about their performance and that they clearly got it from the performance center. When that's might not be the case, and more than 50-75%, we just don't know. They could have got it anywhere. They're out and about. Listen, I follow a lot of them. You do too, DT, on social media, on Instagram. See a lot of them taking pictures out and about, out at a restaurant with their mask on, out and about on the beach. They could get it from anywhere. There's no there's no dead set evidence that it was all the performance. Everyone just got it there, reckless abandon. And it was a little bit unfair. They could have did more. I agree.
Yeah, it was a sloppy shop. Taz was right.
Again, you know, it's WWE has let a lot of people down with a lot of things they've done, so it's easy to jump on board and kick them when they're down because they made a lot of shitty mistakes and stupid mistakes. So it's easy to villainize them for everything. But if you're going to be fair, just take a step back and say, listen, they don't really know who got it from where, who brought it to who, how Kayla Braxton thinks she got it twice. By the way, she was just posting bikini pictures of herself yesterday, so I don't think she's that sick, Kayla Braxton, by the way. Renee Young, too. Yeah, but posting brand new pictures. Go look at Kayla Braxton. People don't believe. Go look at her Instagram yesterday. Go see her posts. Brand new pictures of her in a bathing suit. So clearly she's not sick and dying. I mean, I'm not doubting that wasn't well, but she's clearly better. And Renee Young, too. Nice pictures, nice on Instagram, looking good, feeling good. So no one is dead and dying here. Thank God, knock on wood.
And she's got a cookbook coming out.
Yeah, she got a cook. I mean, the people are not. Everyone. The people that I know it's a big narrative for people to be like, WWE, they don't care. They treat their people. You know, they don't care about their well-being, their death, and that's not. That's just ridiculous. They have thousands and millions of dollars invested in people. Of course, they care. They could have did more. They fucked up. But let's make like they were like, hey, if anybody dies, they die. That's ridiculous. I mean, come on.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, if you're like Dolph Lundgren, if he dies, he dies. Again, they have a lot of money invested in these people, time and energy and years. That's not it, guys. That's just not it.
Yeah, absolutely. Wanted to also mention quickly the current updated lineup for Extreme Rules, the horror show. Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler. We won't know the stip until the pay-per-view. Non-title match, still blows me away, non-title. Swamp fight, Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman. We'll see if Eric Rowan makes a cameo. Yep. Yeah, for the Raw Women's title, Sasha Banks versus Asuka. For the SmackDown Women's title, Nikki Cross versus Bayley. Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio, an eye for an eye match. And the U.S. title, you have Apollo Crews defending the title against MVP.
Not a bad card. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. You know, I want to see what the stipulation is between Randy Orton and Big Show. They haven't announced it yet, but it's going to be happening very, very soon. So,
what do you think the stipulation will be?
I have no idea. I have no idea. In fact, I would not surprise me if they end up not having a match at Extreme Rules. You know, something's going to happen next week. It's gotta, because next weekend is the pay-per-view. I think the fact that they have not advertised a match yet, I'm kind of leaning more that there isn't a match that's going to go down. maybe that match is saved for SummerSlam, because SummerSlam is going to take place at the Performance Center, and they're blowing their load on some of these feuds now, so there's going to be some shifts in some feuds. So it wouldn't surprise me if it ends up that, we see Big Show and Randy Orton hold off until SummerSlam.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's very possible. Very possible. I mean, you wouldn't want like 4 more weeks of Big Show build up on Raw?
Is that a joke question?
Yeah. I know I don't mind Big Show right now. It's like, just give me small doses of him. It's a little while, but he's still in great shape, and God bless him for being able to wrestle for 25 plus years. At his size, many people would have never even thought he would live this long. Yeah, so
true.
I'm not so hard on Big Show, Shout out to JReb92, Nathan P, Christian Montez, Maurique, Christopher DeMars, and Mikey Hodge, our new and returning patrons. Tomorrow you have Castle Chronicles, your solo show on Patreon.
Yeah, 8:15 tomorrow night, solo show.
This weekend will be Mish and myself doing Breakfast Soup. Either going to be Saturday or Sunday, we're not sure yet. We'll poll the patrons, see when they want to have the show done. Wednesday will be Wednesday Night Dynamite. Friday will be the Don Tony Show. And starting Friday, I'm going to bring back This Week in Wrestling History. Cool. It's going to be a little feature on the show. I'm not playing clips, so I'm not going to get flagged by any promotions. And the only reason why I'm bringing it back a little bit is to remind everyone the amount of history that is still being ignored. I know there's a couple of Twitter accounts that like to put up something here or something there. Like somebody posted yesterday, it was the cage match where Tito Santana beat Greg the Hammer Valentine to win the Intercontinental title in This Week in WWE history. And they have no idea. That's the first time in the history of WWE television that a title changed in a cage.
Is it?
I think that's a pretty big fact to have left out. But when they don't actually pay attention to history and just cut and paste it, you don't find little things like that. I think it's more important that a title never changed hands by WWE in a cage before that match went down. I think that was a big deal. So just to give everybody an idea a little bit, as far as, even if you allow me about 60 seconds, just to give everybody an idea of what went down. And the reason why I chose Friday is because when I used to do the history show, the week actually begins with Friday's dates. So at least when I bring up whatever happened in history, it falls in line from Friday to Friday. But just to give everybody a little sample of what went down this week in history, and you'll realize all of the moments that are just being ignored and forgotten by people out there because they don't want to do the work. We had, obviously, the boating accident with Brutus Beefcake, the death of Joey Morella in a car that nobody brought up. You think of all the other tragedies that happened on July 4th. An infamous match that was going to look into the future of wrestling. Ricky Steamboat took on Macho Man Randy Savage in 1977. You had the infamous match of Ric Flair, who was the NWA champion at the time, took on then champion, WWF champion, Bob Backlund. It was title versus title, and they did not record it because that was the agreement by Vince McMahon that Backlund, as the WWF champ, could fight Ric Flair, who was the NWA champ, but it could not be filmed. You had Magnificent Morocco win the first ever King of the Ring tournament. As I said, the first ever title change in a cage. NWA holds their first ever Great American Bash and debuts the first ever War Games match. Vader made his WCW debut. Dusty Rhodes beat Tully Blanchard to win the NWA TV title and the services of Baby Doll for 30 days. Sabu and RVD had a match in USWA back in 1991. A lot of people aren't aware of that. Chris Benoit, as the Pegasus Kid, he lost his mask in a mask versus mask match against Justin Thunder Liger. Fallout from Ric Flair leaving WCW. NWA still acknowledging Ric Flair as the NWA Heavyweight Champion. Lex Luger body slamming Yokozuna aboard the USS Intrepid.
Right.
This week was the infamous match between Bret Hart fighting Bob Backlund, retaining the WWF Championship, and Bob Backlund turned heel. Nobody talks about that. Was the match where Backlund turned on Bret Hart and was looking at his hands, didn't know what he was doing.
I remember it.
Yeah. The Gangsters, New Jack and Mustafa, make their Smoky Mountain Wrestling debut. Fantasio makes his one and only appearance ever on WWF TV.
I remember that when he pulled the underwear out. I remember that.
Yeah. Vader starts his Roadkill tour, if people don't know about that. The debut of the New World Order happens this week. We had the WWF debut of who? Who is who?
Jim Neidhart.
Jim Neville Neidhart. In Your House, Canadian Stampede. You have the infamous angle where Billy Joe Travis is legit arrested during a USWA event.
That's it.
Goldberg beats Hollywood Hogan for the WCW heavyweight title on Nitro in front of 41,412. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
History. That's all. I remember all that stuff. I mean, because I watched everything throughout all those time periods. But that's amazing. That was all within the week of the all the. Wow.
If anybody ever watches Botchamania, and they have this segment called "Send for the Man," and that was because Macho Man got pissed off and almost slapped Tori Wilson for corpsing on Nitro. That happened this week in history. Mengen Goldberg debuted that Little Caesars pizza commercial, debuted this week. DX went blackface and mocked the Nation of Domination, happened this week. WWE had a press conference that they were supposed to have an event at Foxborough Stadium, and Steve Austin pushed Vince McMahon into the Bay, and that event ended up not happening. Vince McMahon cracks his tailbone in a motorcycle accident. I think that was also on July 4th. All this week. Nitro, This Week in History, had performances live by the West Texas Rednecks and Megadeth. Jerry Lawler announced his candidacy for mayor of Memphis, Tennessee. WWE wins a $3.5 million lawsuit against the Parents-Teacher Council. Joey Ryan makes his pro wrestling debut this week in history.
Oh, jeez.
TNN announces the cancellation of ECW programming. Happened this week. Johnny the Bull had that infamous spot in a hardcore match with Terry Funk on Nitro where he jumped over the top rope and landed and, fucked up like his tailbone and stuff. It's a sick spot if anybody ever sees it. Discovery Channel airs the infamous special pro wrestling school that featured Rick Bassman's UPW and showed a very young John Cena and a very young Samoa Joe.
Oh, yeah.
This Week in History, WWF won the bidding war between WCW and Japan and signed Brock Lesnar. It was an actual bidding war, but this week, WWF signed Brock Lesnar. All these things. Do you see anybody talking about this stuff? Bam Bam Bigelow saved kids from a burning house. God rest his soul. Booker T made wrestling history and won his first ever WCW heavyweight title this week. This week, Jeff Jarrett laid down for Hulk Hogan, and then Vince Russo cut that infamous promo where Hulk Hogan walked out. Stephanie McMahon was added to the ECW Invasion storyline that she owned ECW. Buff Bagwell is fired this week by WWE because of all the stuff that happened. Supreme suffered those first-degree burns in a flaming table spot in XPW in California. This week is the Jackie Gator match, the infamous Jackie Gator match. Wildwood, New Jersey, temporarily named a street after Ric Flair. Ric Flair's autobiography, To Be the Man, hits stores. WWE released 20 this week in 2005. Shawn Michaels turned on Hulk Hogan. Blue Meanie beat JBL on SmackDown as payback for what happened at One Night Stand. The beheading, when Muhammad Hassan beheaded The Undertaker. That happened this week in history as well. Rob Van Dam and Sabu get pulled over on the highway and are arrested. RVD is the ECW and WWE champion. That happened this week. This week was the infamous Wikipedia entry that claimed to report the death of Nancy Benoit before it happened. Mickey Knuckle suffers a broken leg, and I think this pretty much led to her retirement. WWE released Trevor Murdoch and Ashley Mazzaro this week. This week, the CM Punk used a homophobic slur at a WWE house show, and it was caught on camera.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family made their WWE TV debut this week. I mean, you think about all of this. The DA reopened the investigation this week of Jimmy Snuka killing Nancy Argentina. Global Force Wrestling announced their amped TV tapings.
Right.
TNA Impact had the final deletion, and it was the SmackDown live rap battle between the New Day and the Usos. Now, when you go on some of these Twitter accounts and they show you one or two clips, there's about 49 others that happened this week in history that are pretty big deal. You see anybody bringing it up? You might see the NWO. You might see one thing here and there. Booker T made fucking history this week.
Yeah, the major stories.
Yeah. So all of that took place. And there's others. I actually was skipping over some of the more boring ones. But, I just figured I'd share with everyone. So I'm going to condense it down on Fridays. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but, we'll start off Friday. We'll see what happens. And speaking of history, I don't know if you heard about this, but WWE trademark is applied for the trademark of WrestleWar. So they're going to bring back WrestleWar.
Okay, that was WCW stablemate.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you about your draft picks for your own little promotion in a moment. But did you catch the Undertaker's interview with Sam Roberts?
No, I didn't. I didn't see it yet. I'll probably watch it tonight or tomorrow.
It's pretty good. He was asked about going to WCW, and he basically said that he was loyal to Vince. He was frustrated about the direction of his character and everything, and WCW opened the checkbook, but he felt loyalty to Vince. We all knew this already, but I want to ask you a question because I asked Mish this during Breakfast Soup last week. You were a big fan during the Monday Night Wars, as was I. We've been watching wrestling since 1979. We remember when the Undertaker was still in the WWF and Nitro was kicking their ass in the ratings. We remember when WWF overtook Nitro in the ratings and then the tailspin with WCW. Do you think if Undertaker would have left WWF for WCW and Nitro, how do you think he would have ended up there? I mean, how do you think there would have been, any level of success? Like, what do you think would have happened?
Like, phrase the question again to me.
If Undertaker would have gone to WCW in the late 90s,
when everybody else left, or around the
or even if it was 99 or 2000, what do you think? How do you think he would have? You think he would have been successful in WCW?
No, well, they talk about that he could have did the American Kevin Nash was talking about that he could have did the American Badass character and been Mean Mark, or go back to like when he was Mean Mark Callis. But no one really remember. We remember that character. Some of you guys in the chat remember Mean Mark Callis. It was a 1989 character that lasted not even a year. And he could rode the bike and be the biker version of The Undertaker. I don't think it would have worked. I don't think they could have made a present. Even though they were big on motorcycles, Road Wild and stuff, maybe they could have debuted him at Road Wild, at something like that. And but I just don't see it. I just think it would have been a Bret Hart. I don't think they would have known how to use The Undertaker. Even though Mark had been there before for a year, he was in the Skyscraper 6 months, then another 6 months on a single. It wasn't the same WCW it was when he left it in '89. in '90 to come to WWF at the time. So I don't think they could, even Kevin Nash goes, but he could have been the biker guy, and Mark could have just been himself, the bandana and the torn shirts. I don't think it would have worked. I don't think, again, they didn't know how to use Bret Hart, and Bret Hart had full rights to his name and the Hitman, and they couldn't use Bret Hart the right way. So I think Undertaker would have been a flop. I just don't think they would have been able to use him right.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
I enjoyed, by the way, shout out to everybody who's live right now. Huge audience live right now. I almost feel guilty for ending the show soon, but yeah, I know look, I've admitted this before, there's a lot of other podcasts on Mondays, and people are always competing for the live audience, but when I see this many people tuning in, you make it a little bit difficult to end the show early. But and by the way, if you're enjoying, I posted some instructions online, everybody out there. But Undertaker, you see, when Warrior made his WCW debut, anybody could go back to my history episodes. I loved it. I enjoyed his stint in WCW. Yes, there was a lot of caca moments. That fireball thing with Hulk Hogan was the drizzling shits. But I liked One Warrior Nation, and I always remind everyone, listen to the fucking pop that Warrior got when he debuted on Nitro. I know Bischoff still to this day is angry that Warrior rambled for way too long and it screwed up the show.
Script, yeah.
If the fans were enjoying themselves, so fucking what? That's how I look at it. Where does this go with Undertaker? Well, like you said, with Bret Hart still had his name. They couldn't call him Ultimate Warrior, but they called him Warrior. The problem with Undertaker is, if they would have just said Taker, I think that would have gotten really stupid really quickly. Yeah. If they would have just called him the American Badass and not be able to call him Undertaker, I don't think it would have been the same. Plus, people need to remember, the American Badass didn't debut in the WWF until after WCW went off the air. So it's not like he was the American Badass in WWE and they ran that momentum and he went to WCW and continued it. If he would have showed up on Nitro as a fucking biker, fans would have been like, wait a minute, we just had the fucking dead man in the corporate ministry. Like, why is he wearing a bandana and a bike and a motorcycle? Plus, I don't think that would have happened because Bischoff had the motorcycle also. So we didn't know if the American Badass was going to work out or not. So it's not, we look back on it and enjoyed the American Badass, and some people, that's their favorite Undertaker character. But if he would have went to WCW, that American Badass character was not even revealed yet. And all people would remember is Mean Mark. And that didn't go out all that well. So I just think Undertaker would have been without a good name, and they would not have used him as the Dead Man. I don't even think they would have just called him the Dead Man. I think that would have been, they would not even allow him to dress like that. That would have been copyright infringement.
They couldn't get too close. If you remember, they sued over the Scott Hall thing because of the toothpicks and the hey.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Undertaker came out with the fucking, the outfit like Undertaker? Oh,
doing the eye roll.
It's like crazy.
Yep.
So I think Undertaker would have been a flop there. I really do. Plus, you could picture Hogan getting his wins back. It's, I don't know. I just think Undertaker would have been an absolute flop. Not of his doing. I think just WCW, there would be so many limitations that they would not know how to reinvent them. And I don't think they would have allowed him to reinvent himself. Definitely. The mortician. Didn't give me that. It's stupid. By the way, I'm curious, everybody. I posted this on Twitter. I was very surprised at the response. If I gave out a trivia prize right now, I'm not, but if I gave out a trivia prize right now and I gave everybody a choice of either a signed Hulk Hogan photo or a 3-pack of Lysol wipes or Clorox wipes, which one would you choose? Would you take the Hulk Hogan photo or would you take the Lysol wipes? And I know a lot of people don't like Hogan, but you'd be surprised how many people were like, I could use those Lysol wipes with the COVID era.
You need Lysol. It's a necessity. Hogan picture's not a necessity.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. But anyway, getting back to what we said earlier, if you were to start a new wrestling company, there was, let's just say that everybody out there was a free agent in the United States. We're not going to include Japan, anybody overseas in Japan, because, you know, some of us follow New Japan, but not everybody. So if you say Okada, and a lot of people are going to be like, I never really watched any of his matches. So we'll just remain people who are currently in the United States. So you got your choice right now. 2 male wrestlers, 2 female wrestlers, 2 tag teams, 1 commentator, and 1 manager. Who would you choose?
Well, let's do. We can both go back and forth with it. The 2 males I would choose would be MJF and Karrion Kross.
Okay.
How about you?
They would be your, you know, focus of the promotion? Like they would be the cornerstone?
Well, you know, I'm taking it from the perspective of young, new talent that could be superstars. Are we going with established star? I mean, it could be whatever we want it to be, right?
Yeah, be whatever you want it to be. Sure.
All right, so I'm gonna stick with MJF and Karrion Kross, developing new stars who I think both got it factor and could be staple mates of the promotion.
That's a great choice. And again, I invite everyone, like I said, not in the chat, so to speak, but you could write in the chat too, but write it on the page as well, so everybody could see it later on. My 2 choices, even though this guy is up there in age, I think when I look at AEW and I see the value of Chris Jericho and Matt Hardy behind the scenes for the young stars, I think that is absolutely crucial. Sure, Chris Jericho is definitely past his prime, but you need a veteran influence. And I'm not just talking about somebody working in management. You want good veteran influences there to help mold and shape the stars of tomorrow, educate, pick their brain. So even though this person is more up there in age, I still think he would be the perfect veteran to build the stars of tomorrow. My 2 choices for men would be AJ Styles and Finn Balor.
Okay, that's good.
I think AJ Styles could still do it. I think Finn Balor, he is extremely popular. He's uber talented, and that guy could, morph his matches into all different styles. So I would go with those 2 as my men. For the 2 women, who would you choose?
I would choose Sasha Banks and Penelope Ford.
Okay, all right.
I'm really high on Penelope Ford. I thought, she, for the eye candy factor, but her in-ring wrestling has gotten so much better. She had a great match last week, and I'm happy to see her doing well. And there seems to be doing stuff with her now. She's not just a sidekick; she can wrestle. Yeah. And Sasha Banks is, Sasha Banks is proving she's a star. She's always been, and she could be that top. She could be that veteran coming in, and Penelope could be that developmental up-and-coming talent. So I'm going to go that way with it.
I want to let everyone know that the Finn Balor choice I made was a very tough decision because my original pick was Matt Riddle.
That's a good one too. That's a good one.
Yeah, I originally was going to go AJ and Matt Riddle. But then I said, you know what? I think Finn Balor would probably be my number 2 over Matt Riddle. So for the women, I would choose, I don't think there's any surprise here. They're my 1-2 as far as top women in the last decade. I go with Asuka and Charlotte. And even though Asuka really can't speak English, her antics alone, make up for it. And she's just extremely, extremely talented. Charlotte is in a league of her own because not only does she have the talent, but she has the mic to back it up as well. And so I would go with Charlotte and Asuka as the 2 women in my cornerstone. Okay. For 2 tag teams would be your cornerstone.
I go with the Street Profits, and I go with the Lucha Brothers. Okay.
All right. We got one team the same. I can tell you that much.
Okay. Who's yours?
Yeah, I would go with the Lucha Brothers and Kenny Omega and Hangman Page.
That's good, too. Yeah, that's very good.
Look, do I think they have 7-star matches like some other people say? No. But Kenny Omega and Hangman Page can still fucking tear it up. And Hangman Page, I am really curious to see where this guy is in wrestling like 2 or 3 years from now. I don't know if he'll keep that name if he ever signed with WWE, but Hangman Page, I think, is probably a secret. I would not be surprised if we did this again 2 years from now and a lot of people put Hangman Page on that list. But I think the Lucha Brothers, Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. Not saying for them to work in management. I'm just saying for 2 tag teams, that's what I would choose.
Okay.
Commentator.
Just one?
Yeah, just one. Oh, you can pick 2. Pick 2.
I was going to say, even though I'm kind of phasing out Jim Ross in my own mind, to be honest with you, because he's just kind of turned into an ornery old guy at this point. He's just he doesn't sound as that enthusiastic. But I would go, when he's on his game, Jim Ross and his color man, Corey Graves.
Before I say mine, Darren Hill. Yes, Hangman Page. Oh, I'm sorry, Chad Meadors. Sorry. Of course, Hangman Page is not a secret, but you scroll around the net and almost nobody talks about him. AEW fans for sure. Some
like a sleep. You mean more like, I'm sorry to interrupt you. More like a sleeper than a secret. Like a sleeper. Like he's
no. A sleeper is someone that you really don't, you don't expect him to be the megastar. I think Hangman Page is without question going to be a mega star. I just think
when
that
he comes to WWE, or you think AEW can develop him? Do you think WWE has to get a hold of him?
No, it doesn't matter what promotion he's in. That guy's going to be a mega star in about a year or 2. So I just think right now, a lot of people out there aren't focused on that guy. That guy is going to be the focus of a lot of conversation in a year or 2.
Who's with the managers? Who do you? Commentators. Who do you think?
I believe it or not, even though they don't get along, I think there would be an interesting dynamic because one is kind of a baby face and now commentator, and one's a heel, and I would be really curious to see their dynamic on an extended basis. I would go with Mauro Ranallo and Corey Graves.
That's a good one too. I probably should have gone Mauro instead of Jim Ross, but I'm trying to be fair and include AEW, not just be a WWE fanboy.
Yeah.
Because there's great companies.
Pick a manager.
Manager.
You could be an advocate.
I mean, obviously Heyman, if Heyman wants back on camera time and wants to do that again, Heyman, even though at this point, Heyman would come with a lot. I would say Heyman, if I had to go with someone as an alternate choice, I'm still liking Selena Vega as a manager, but maybe MVP will get. But I would go with Heyman as the obvious choice, but Selena probably as an alternative choice, even though I know she wants to actually wrestle. But her, as a manager, has been kind of effective. She gets a lot of TV time with it. She could be a good-looking woman, can talk. So I'll go with Selena.
Yeah, I would go with Paul Heyman. I just think,
Paul
Heyman could cut a promo about shit and make it seem like edible. You know what I mean? Like he has just a knack of always, and he's smooth and just everything. I pointed out even on the history show, if you listen to a Heyman promo or watch one from 6-7 years ago with Lesnar and watch it now, they're almost identical. Yeah. I mean, it's the same shit for 6-7 years. That's not his fault. That's WWE choosing that. But by the way, if anybody sees me rubbing my nose, I have bad allergies today. I don't know what it is. I see like little dust particles flying around. Very uncomfortable. I should have took my Syzam today, but I would go with Heyman first. I think he's phenomenal. Believe it or not, I'm a little annoyed that I couldn't fit in Aaron Stevens in here somewhere because that guy, he would be in my top 5. I think. WWE, they didn't miss the boat because they did give him a decent push, but they should have made him go so much further. I think Aaron Stevens should have gone so much further in WWE. Absolutely.
Oh, I agree with you. And actually, because people are on me in Discord saying, what about Scarlett? What about Penelope Ford as a manager? No, I want Penelope Ford and Scarlett can wrestle. They can work. I'm not saying Zelina can't. But Penelope Ford and Scarlett, I think, belong more in the ring. I think Zelina could be more of a manager and a mouthpiece for a crew. So I wouldn't want to pigeonhole Scarlett. I mean, and I think Scarlett eventually will wrestle, and Penelope Ford is showing she's obviously more than the valet. So I wouldn't pick them anyway. And actually, an alternative DT I'd pick for the women would be if I didn't pick Penelope Ford, I would pick Thunder Rosa from the NWA. She's really good.
Thunder Rosa is very good, but she's still got more seasoning to go, but she's excellent also. There aren't any wrong or bad choices, but I'm very curious to see what everybody's picks are, so please post them. And again, big shout out to everybody tuning in live, because I don't know if any other shows out there just decided to like not do one tonight or end early, but a much bigger live audience than usual. So, you know, we really appreciate it. So
yeah, definitely hit the like button, right, TT?
Yeah, everybody hit the like button. You know, I posted in the chat, but you know that just allows the show to get more exposure. So if you could do that, we'd really appreciate it. With that said, I think we're really pretty much done. I wanted to give a shout out to Timothy Place. I really feel bad for him. He's one of our patrons. He had a little bit of an incident that he doesn't mind if I share with everyone, but you know, he's been doing DoorDash, and he went to a Walmart the other day for some reason. And anyway, long story short, some guy was like slamming his horn behind him, and you know, because I guess maybe he was driving a little too slow, and this and that. And by the way, I got to give a big shout out to SoFly Be More. SoFly Be More. So big shout out to him, my friend. Thank you very much. And King of Swan Style says Matt Riddle and Karrion Kross would be his two choices.
Nice.
So yeah. And look, great choices. I definitely, you know, there's some great talents out there. There's, you know, you really, and believe it or not, I know this is going to sound insane, but I actually thought to myself to try to put up a good argument to put Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns on that list. Not that I want either one on my list, but as far as marketability or just dominance, the problem is I think if I put Brock Lesnar as the cornerstone, he would just eat everybody up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know who he would even be able to face. So that's the reason why I didn't choose him. Roman Reigns probably would be that's why I chose Finn Balor, because Finn Balor is so beloved by fans and is so uber talented. That's why I chose to go with him, even over Matt Riddle. Maybe a year from now I changed my mind as far as Matt Riddle, but anyway, he's you know, so guy's like beeping his horn. Right. Long story short, he goes into a parking lot. He had to go to a Walmart, and I guess this guy cut somebody off or something. So he takes picture of the guy's plate, I guess to report that the guy's driving reckless. Well, the guy saw him take the picture of the plate. Oh, no. He goes into Walmart, and apparently the guy's following him, and he's trying to get his attention, and then he realizes, you know, who the guy is. And he's like, you know, why are you videotaping my plate? And he's like, you're driving reckless, this and that. And the guy tells him that if I get any reports, I know where you fucking live, because he knows, you know, Timothy's plate. He wanted to know if I thought that he should get a dash cam. And I'll be honest with everybody out there, it's not worth getting into any incidents with anybody behind the wheel. I have had so many road rage incidents with people over the years. One time I had a gun pulled on me, you know, and it's, trust me, you don't, especially with what's going on in this world right now, there are so many people whose fuses are this big right now. They're about to go off. So the slightest little thing will set somebody off. So, yes, I recommend to every single person out there to get a dash cam. Because if you ever have an accident, or if anything ever happens on the road, you get pulled over from a cop, it's documented. Especially people who are black. Get a dash cam with audio. You get pulled over, it's recorded. It's documented. It's there. They can't do anything about it. I have a dash cam in my car for years now, and anything happens, and at the same time, it also helps my driving because it records my speed. It records if I'm cutting around cars. I would not be taking pictures of anybody's plates.
Well, you got the dash cam years ago, right? Then
I have a dash cam now for about 7, 8 years.
Wow, yeah. I remember you got it a long time ago.
Yeah, it's I don't recommend anybody out there taking pictures of people's plates, or, you know, if you get something on a dash cam and it's recorded, you know, automatically and something serious enough to show the cops, then fine. But just taking out your phone, no matter how bad it's someone else's fault, you're just asking for trouble. I didn't say.
Yourself out there. Did the guy do anything? The guy didn't touch him or anything, right? The guy didn't hit him or anything. Right?
Yeah. Ruperto, why am I saying black people? because I said when it comes to cops, when you get pulled over, a lot of black people are stereotyped and are pulled over from cops for no reason, much more than white people are. So a dash cam would document every time, something happens. And trust me, cops know what a dash cam looks like. So if a cop is going to pull somebody over just to fuck with them or because they think something is up, they see a dash cam and they know that you didn't do anything wrong, there's a better chance that that person will just go along their way. It's not a racial thing or anything like that. It's just an opinion that for people out there who feel that, look, I have a Lincoln Mark 7 all blacked out with tint, and I get pulled over a lot over the years because the car looks like a sports car, and I've been accused of racing when I'm not. So the dash cam, even covers my ass. So anybody out there, that might have an elevated risk of just being fucked with as far as law enforcement goes, a dash cam goes a long way. You don't want to be, and that's another thing too. When I watch live PD, there would be many times where somebody would get pulled over, white or black, and that person that gets pulled over tries to make a cell phone call. And the cop will say, put the phone down, put the phone down, put the phone down, put the phone down. So, and a lot of people don't even get the opportunity to try to call somebody and let them know what's up, or maybe even live stream it. You have a dash cam, everything's being recorded.
Yeah, so you're going to worry about
that. Yeah,
that.
you don't have to touch nothing. Dash cam, without a doubt, every single person watching this right now, seriously, a $60 dash cam, a $50 dash cam, get a dash cam. Because especially you get into an accident, he said, she said, you're turning into a lane and somebody cuts across the other way and you just collide and it wasn't your fault. You make a statement to the cops and this person makes the same statement back, guess what? The accident ends up being 50-50. You both get charged for it. Telling you, game changer. Dash cam, game changer. So, cool. I think we are done. And again, we went longer because so many of you were kind enough to stay with us tonight. So look, the shows are always targeted to 60 to 75 minutes, even Wednesday and Friday. Always get a gun to finish before midnight. But if there's a crazy audience tuning in and everybody's enjoying the show, of course, we'll always accommodate and hope everybody enjoyed the show. And again, if you want to go check it out, I totally revised the Patreon page, patreon.com/Don Tony. You could sign up for as little as $2. Not only do you have all the Patreon exclusive stuff, ad-free episodes of every show that's out there, audio and video, but you have over 1,000 hours of Patreon exclusive shows that you have access to the whole library. So there is tons of, just content there. And, it helps pay the bills. And, go check it out. So, and always welcome everybody's feedback out there. So, Kev, I'll talk to you tomorrow for Castle Chronicles, the solo show.
Yeah, Castle Chronicles tomorrow. Like DT said, sign up on Patreon right now. So it's $2. Check out the show tomorrow night, 8:15, live on our Discord network. And thanks to everybody on YouTube. Thanks to everybody on Discord. And thank you, DT. I'll catch you tomorrow.
All right, catch you tomorrow.
Peace.
All right, everybody. I am going to jet out of here. My work is not done. I have to put the shows online for everybody to access. And please, on the YouTube, yes, I always say hit the like button. Much appreciated. Gives a little more exposure. And my God, already 220 likes. Some shows we don't even get half of that because if you enjoy the show. If you didn't like the show, give it a thumbs down. Just interact. But that segment with picking two wrestlers, manager, go on to YouTube under the posts and post yours. Definitely would love to see, what some of you out there are looking as well. Definitely curious. I know a lot of people like to do these interactions online, and it's plus it also may show a pattern of some favorites out there. You don't have to favor one particular promotion to respect certain people out there. So definitely post it. And that's pretty much it. You know, Benjamin, I don't know anything yet about the algorithms on YouTube. I do agree with you, and I do know that if hitting the dislike button is just as important as the like button because of the algorithms. That's something I have to start studying on YouTube. I've been so focused on the content side and the quality side that I still don't even understand how they, and it's weird. It's weird because right now, if you go on YouTube and you type in the letters AEW, or if you type in Smackdown, you know, there's millions of clips out there. You type in AEW, you type in Smackdown. I haven't checked other keywords yet, but for some reason, if you type one of those two keywords right now, some of my episodes pop up in like the first 20 choices. And I thought originally, okay, maybe it's because of my search history and it's giving me a recommendation. So what I did was I logged out of YouTube completely. And I went on my other computer and I typed in the same search term, and lo and behold, I think it was like 13 spots down. I'm like, holy shit. And Friday's show was a perfect example of it. For some reason, Friday's show was showing up like on searches right away, and more people were seeing it, more people were watching it. I would have liked more people to interact on the page, but it was awesome. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I don't get the formula of how things go, but the bottom line is, you know, if you're enjoying it, that's all that matters. And again, I will never tell anyone out there not to enjoy other podcasts out there, because there's some really good ones. Lee, RCWR, you got Dells, you have JD from New York, Solo Monster, Joe Cronin, Soup, which is really not YouTube, but there's so many shows out there. I mean, it's just, enjoy them. But, all right. And yeah, we're almost at 13,000. So that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to hit 15,000. Because Mish and I are going to do another special episode, and we kind of have an idea of what we're going to do, but we're not sure yet. But so I'm going to get out of here. And again, I hope you enjoyed the show. Much love as always. If you're on Patreon, you can catch Kev's show tomorrow night, 8:15. If you're not, Wednesday, right after AEW and NXT, I'll be up here for Wednesday Night Dynamite. We will talk about both nights. Didn't give out any spoilers today. Didn't give out any spoilers on Friday either, but you know, there was a little controversy. But I just hope everybody enjoys both shows Wednesday. So post your feedback as always. I read everything. I try to interact with as many of you as possible. And yeah, Guardian, definitely want to get 15,000 before Christmas. So some people think I'll get to 20,000 by Christmas. That would be fucking insane, man. I'd love it. So, but I'm out of here. Everyone be well. Much love. Stay safe and be careful out there. You know, just don't trust the other people around you. Walk around. You don't have to be frantic about it. You don't have to be all paranoid, but you know, you see strangers around you all over my area now. I went to my friend's restaurant, you know, a little over a week ago before the vacation. And, you know, we made sure that we were in a corner, not around anyone. And I'm not taking no chances, man. I'm not taking any risk of getting COVID. So I hope everyone stays safe out there. Much love, as always. And I will catch you all Wednesday for Wednesday Night Dynamite. Take care, everyone. Ciao.
Son, oh my.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Son, oh my.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, oh, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Dynamite. You can have fun. You really are.